Hello, my name is Jeff Bost. I am your host today, and it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Joseph Maroon. Dr. Maroon is a neurosurgeon and vice chairman and professor of the Department of Neurosurgery at the University of Pittsburgh. He is also the team neurosurgeon for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He is a triathlete and author who's authored numerous books on health and wellness. And today we're very pleased to have Dr. Maroon today talk about the science of epigenetics and longevity. This will be the first lecture in a series on the right choices for healthy living. Dr. Maroon, thank you for being here. And what would you like to say to our audience?
Hello, Jeff. Thank you very much. And what I'm going to do today is to share with you some of the concepts and principles I've learned about the science of epigenetics and longevity. And don't be put off by the word epigenetics. It's integral to everything that we do virtually. And I'm going to explain to you why. And we're going to be talking about living longer and healthier, which is really what we all, I think, are looking to do. I used to say, my goal is to die young as late as possible. And that really implies that we do want to live longer, provided that it's a relatively healthy existence. And so the question is, how to avoid the tipping point that all of us eventually at some day will experience, or at least put it off a bit. And we really can do a significant number of things to prolong life and prolong a healthy life. And it can be done through what most people already are aware: nutrition, immunization, enhancing our immune system, the use of various antibiotics, and also improving hygiene. And with these things, over the last 60 to 80 years, the lifespan has really doubled from about 40 years to 80 years. All of these, all implementation of all of these factors has resulted in now the life expectancy being around 79 or 80 for men, and women 81, 82, 83 or so. But the question is, have we really reached our limits? And I would like to take a little excursion now into our lifestyles, actions, and genes. My father died at age 60 of a massive heart attack. And I thought for sure everything that happens to me is going to be genetic, and I have the same body habitus as he. And I am any year beyond 60 for me is going to be a bonus. Well, I subsequently learned this isn't true. His lack of exercise, his dietary habits, despite being perhaps prone genetically, were epigenetic factors that really control 70% of what happens to us, as compared to the 30% that our genes are responsible for. So what is epigenetics? What is the science of epigenetics? And basically, it's those factors that are above our genes and influence our genes for good or for bad. Our genes are like a blueprint that you can lie out on a table, and they do nothing until they're acted upon. Those factors that act upon the genes and tell them which of 100,000 different proteins to make are called epigenetic, above the genes. And what are they? It's very simple: nutrition, our activity, our level of exercise, our emotional state, and how we control or don't control stress, and also environmental factors. And we're going to discuss each one of these briefly. But as I said, it's the epigenetic factors that control up to 70% of what happens to us, not genetic. So that our genes are not necessarily our destiny. So, what are the preventable risk factors that we're confronted with every day in our lives? We know that smoking is one of the worst things we can do to allow our blood pressure to be uncontrolled, overweight, inadequate physical activity, our blood sugar, our hemoglobin AC1 levels should be kept in a normal range. Our cholesterol, the level of fat in our blood, the amount of salt we intake, and also our diets in terms of fruit, vegetables, lean protein, etc. All these are factors that we control. There are choices how we either control them or modify our diet and our exercise habits. So what we're really saying is we want to delay the so-called tipping point. We want to compress morbidity into the shortest possible time. And it's the lifestyle and our lifestyle that affects the quality of our lives. As you can see from the lifestyle of Americans versus the Japanese in the level and the numbers of disabled years, their diet is much more fish, relatively low carbohydrate, uh, high amount of polyphenols, green tea that they drink. They exercise and work. At least this was in the past decades or two. They're catching up to us very quickly. So looking at each one of these factors, nutrition. Well, we know that the incidence of obesity in the United States, not only in adults, but also now in kids, is simply out of control. And why is this? That's because our diets are composed of the so-called Western diet, of a lot of fat, a lot of salt, a lot of sugar in almost everything we eat, particularly if it's refined food and promoted by some of the large food companies. What do we want to have? We want to really look more towards the Mediterranean type diet, which is fruits, vegetables, fish, olive oil, maybe a little bit of wine, and very heavy in the vegetables and fruits, as well as berries, nuts, and various types of polyphenols that we get from blueberries, blackberries, raspberries. Nutritional supplements are also very important. Omega-3 fatty acids in fish oil and vitamin D3, magnesium, if you exercise a lot, zinc are all components that should be part of a healthy diet or supplemented. Exercise, we know, is absolutely critical. We not only enhance our cardiovascular fitness and our bones and our joints and our immune system, but we also make molecules that enhance our ability to make new neurons, increase our neuroplasticity, and make new synaptic connections, a substance called BDNF. And we also want to have clean water, clean air, soil. We don't want to smoke. We don't want to use drugs. And we want to avoid contaminated environments. And then finally, the fourth epigenetic factor is controlling stress. With religion, spirituality, relationships, meditation are all ways to control stress. Now, what happens if you don't do that? If you eat a Big Mac infused with hormones and antibiotics and trans fatty acids on our French fries, and then phosphoric acid in the big Coke that we have with it. If we don't exercise, if we have pollution, if we pollute our bodies with excess alcohol, smoking, drugs, and if we don't control our stress, all of these epigenetic factors result in telling our genes to make inflammatory molecules. Inflammation, silent inflammation, is what clogs up our arteries, what results in cancer, heart disease, stroke, and Alzheimer's. All of these inflammatory epigenetic factors should be contrasted with the healthy epigenetic factors that we just discussed in terms of diet, exercise, environment, and emotional health. So it's our choice how we manage each one of these epigenetic factors that has long-term consequences, not only in our longevity, but also clearly in the quality of our lives. We consume less care, we save money, we have a happier and more contented demeanor, and life becomes much more meaningful when you pay attention to these particular epigenetic factors and the choices that we can make on a daily basis to enhance our quality of life as well as our longevity. So these are other topics that we're going to discuss in upcoming subjects, a little bit more on the types of diets, including the very popular ketogenic diet now, talk about supplements, the kinds of exercise that we need to enhance brain, body, and cardiovascular function, how to reduce stress, the various techniques and methods that I also discuss in my book, Square One, A Simple Guide to a Balanced Life, and then also the deleterious effect of the various toxins from air pollution, cigarettes, drugs, and also epidemic in our food sources. So with this introductory segment, we're very happy to present this to you, and we'll look forward to meeting with you in future segments. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Maroon. Appreciate your knowledge. If you could go back to the healthy epigenetic choices, one of the things on that slide talks about transcription factors and the idea of we're having control of our outcome as far as our health. How did this occur relative to, say, for exercise, as far as what does it do on a cellular basis?
Well, the transcription factors are in every cell and every nucleus of our body. And it's these factors that literally instruct our genes what to do. And as you know, our genes are responsible for making the 100,000 or so different proteins that make up our skin, our hair, our organs, our heart. And these transcription factors also modulate inflammation in our body and anti-inflammation. And if we abuse our body, so to speak, by not doing the things that I mentioned, it activates these transcription factors to make inflammatory agents, which literally is like getting a splinter under your fingernail. And the inflammation that occurs in your blood vessels, in your brain, in your heart, in your liver. So the transcription factors are very important signaling molecules that we control by the choices we make.
Thank you very much, Dr. Maroon. Appreciate it. And we'll look forward to your upcoming sessions.
Thank you, Jeff.